In the name I am that I am, Sanat Kumara, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved Archangel, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of Karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I demand the action of the sacred fire in this hour. Descend almighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sanat Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory, come forth in this hour of the victory of the God flame. I demand the full power, beloved mighty, see me with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord, my Savior, Gautama and Sanat Kumara. Come, Lord, now in the victory of the God flame. Send the light 10,000 suns, beloved mighty, stand, mighty, stand, mighty, stand. Around this fortune I call upon the great single sun magnet. I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved is stand, beloved is stand, beloved is stand. I call upon the electronic solar rings of the great central sun, the seraphim of God. I call for the electronic fire rings. I call for the rings of the great central sun. I call for the great central sun magnet and full power of the...
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Free Association Radio. Today's show, as always on Wednesdays, is Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm your host, Robert Phoenix. It is 2613, and we are going to be blessed today with the presence of Shelly Wu. She is a Chinese astrologer. She's actually Chinese American, and she practices Chinese astrology, but she also has some grounding in Western astrology as well. So she straddles both sides of the astrological hemisphere, as it were. And she's an author, and she's written a book on Chinese astrology, exploring the Eastern zodiac in Chinese astrology, Chinese sexual astrology. We'll ask her about that today. The Kama Sutra, and, of course, the definitive book of Chinese astrology. She's very well known. She publishes columns and is a guest on radio shows like this all across the country. And we're just pleased to have her on here. We're going to be talking about the year of the snake and what that means for people, and hopefully get some grounding in Chinese astrology and how it differs from Western astrology and how it dovetails and is aligned with Western astrology in many ways. So we're going to talk about the year of the snake, and as we get into it and spend more time with it and go deeper into the show, we'll open up the phone lines and we'll take a few phone calls and we'll do a few Chinese astrological readings with our guest today, Shelly Wu. So without wasting any more time, let's bring her right on the show. Here she is, all the way from Portland, Oregon, Miss Shelly Wu.
Anyhow, good morning, Robert.
Hey, Shelly. How's it going?
Wonderful. How about yourself?
You know, it's going pretty well. It is not oppressively hot here today, which is good. A little bit of mist, and I'm liking it.
That's wonderful. Well, it's always raining in Portland unless it's not, as I like to say. So we have a lot of rain here.
Well, welcome to the show. And so officially, the Chinese New Year starts, next week? Is that right?
Right, on the 10th. The Asiatic New Year begins on a different date each year, depending on the lunar eclipse of the year. And this year it begins on February 10th, but it can begin anywhere from mid-January until mid-February.
Is the standard basically after the first new moon in February or January, or how does that work?
It's after the last moon of the solstice in December. It's the first moon after that occurs. So it just depends. It's a lunar-based system. Part of Chinese astrology is solar-based as well. So it depends on what discipline you're practicing. The four pillars, or the Baji, is a solar-based system, but the Zue Doshu and some of the other advanced practices are lunar-based. And that's generally what I work with. So my Tong Shu, which is the Chinese Farmer's Almanac to the Eastern people, I check for my dates each year, see when our New Year is.
So in terms of the solar versus the lunar, is this something that can be located in China via region, or how is that broken down? And it's interesting because it kind of represents the yin and the yang. Why does this occur, and how is it sorted out?
Well, the first day of spring, i-ching, always occurs on the 4th of February, and that is the lunar, the solar-based system of the 4 pillars. Again, each of the lunar-based New Year day starts, it depends on the solstice and what the moons are after that. But once we locate that, then we start setting the chart. Okay. And the first thing that we do is differentiate between Western and Eastern astrology. And in the East, the years are used to order the signs rather than the months. And that's the first pillar, or the first set of 2 characters, stem and branch, element, and sign archetype, that will represent the first pillar of your birth chart.
So let's find out a little bit more about you, and then we'll track back and get into the roots of Chinese astrology. Whenever I have an astrologer on the show, I'm always interested in how they chose astrology as a profession, and more specifically, how you chose Chinese astrology. So let's go back in time and find out when you got the bug and said, you know what, I'm really into this, or something here, and I'm going to go deeper with it.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, here it is. I fell into it. It chose me rather than me choosing it. I have a background in philosophy and world religions, and 18 years ago, I had a good friend that came to me and asked me if I had ever heard of anything called the Internet, and I hadn't. And he said, well, I think you would find it very interesting. I'm designing something called a web page in a language called HTML, and I need content, he said. How about one of those crazy hobbies of yours, was what he called my study. Mm-hmm. And you can just imagine what that crazy study was.
Right.
And we went live in 1995, 96, and everything, it just exploded. There was a tremendous amount of interest. This was something unlike people had ever seen before. They were very well acquainted with their Western astrological sign, but this was completely different. This was an art form, an interpretive, philosophical art form that was combining with the mathematics of the astrological energies and vibrations. So this was particularly interesting, these archetypes, and everything just exploded. And basically, I had to rise to the occasion, and I had to consult masters and teachers and basically rise to this occasion, and that's what I did. And,
so you were a web pioneer. I mean, being on the web with a website in 1995 is what we in the business would call an early adopter. That's really pretty amazing.
Well, you know, it's funny because I remember we started with ShellyWu.com in 95, 96, and I remember the actual discussion where I said to him, you know, I think we should probably get ChineseAstrology.com. This was 1997.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I just have this feeling. I was using the force, Robert. I just had this feeling that the .coms were going to get snatched up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so we went ahead and did that. And in 2004, my publisher contacted me. He had ordered one of my reports and liked it very much. And he contacted me and asked me if I had ever considered going the traditional publishing method. And I, you know, deliberated on that for about 5 seconds and went, sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's how it started, and my first book came out, Exploring the Eastern Zodiac, in 2005. And the second book, which was originally entitled Karmic Connections, because this is the biggest question that I get asked, of course, is the compatibility. And the publisher renamed it Chinese Sexual Astrology, Eastern Secrets to Mind-Blowing Sex. There's the publishing industry for you.
Right.
But the second book is on relationships and patterns and these grids, the Dewey Decimal System of the universe, as I call it. And then I broke out of that genre for a while and wrote the Karma Sutra, play on words there, Sex, Love, and Relationship Zen. And that was everything my mother never talked about. This is the law of attraction. This is basic Taoism and Buddhism. It's been repackaged and called The Secret and Law of Attraction. This is what I do. This is Taoism. This is the yin and the yang. This is working, living harmoniously in balance and with the cycles of nature.
Good stuff. So you've been busy then for the last
I have been busy,
years.
Yes.
Okay.
And the fourth book, I decided to get the software written for the very advanced Zue Doshu. And Zue is the emperor. Doshu means of stars. So this is what the masters use. This is, that little old man in the back alley that drops your jaw and you're saying, how in the world could you have known that? That's what he's using. He's using the Zue chart. So it can be, Chinese astrology can be as simple as the 12 archetypes. It can be as complex as the Zue Doshu.
Okay, so in 1995, you got the call to take your hobby to another level. When did your hobby become a hobby?
Oh my goodness, I cannot even remember. It has been a part of me all of my life, and this is always at certain times of my life. I had to keep what I was studying and what I was doing under wraps because of a very strict Judeo-Christian upbringing and background from my father's side. So this is something that I had to really find my voice for, and I had to really search myself and search my heart. And what I realized was happening was I was using these tools. Some people use cards, some people use crystals, some people do other different types of things to facilitate. But I realized what was happening was I was using the tools of the Chinese astrology, and then what would happen is I just go into the zone. I get working with it, and then it just all comes, and I do what I call going into the zone with it, and that's when the interpretation comes. Sort of a complicated game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. No, as an astrologer, I'm pretty familiar with that space, and anybody that does any kind of intuitive or divination work is also familiar with that. You're using the tools at hand as a point of departure, and then you leap off into this 0 point sort of place, and then things start to come and unfold, and it's a pretty interesting process. And by the way, it's a very democratic process, and anybody has the potential to tap into that as well. It's what's our own intuitive nature. Let's get into the roots of Chinese astrology. If we can go there just for a few minutes. I know it's probably a very complex history, but take us back in time and try to give our listeners and myself here a sense as to how this thing developed and where some of the early progenitors of the art form were, and if there are names, who they might be.
Well, the art form as we know it emerged and merged with the Chinese writing system itself as it came about. And so all of these, I realized in my historical studies of Chinese culture that it was impossible to separate the culture and history from their astrological system. And this struck me very unusual because in the West, astrology still tends to be rather fringe. It's kept at hand's distance by a lot of people on the peripheral. But Chinese astrology, for instance, it would be very rude to ask a woman what her age was. You would be told she was an earth doll. And that would tell you that she was born in 1958 or early 59. So that's how it's so prevalent, the philosophies of Confucius, of Lao Tse, of Mencius, all of the major Eastern philosophers all came about and started merging and emerging with the writing system and the calendrical, the seasonal, like our old farmer's almanac, when to plant, when to lay fallow. Compatibility, this was a big thing. As you know, the elders always chose the best compatibilities for the children, and how do you think they might have done that? With the astrological system. And basically everything I noticed started coming together and merging, and it's impossible to separate all the strands. They're like a helix that wrap around each other.
Right.
So that's the most fascinating thing, is how mainstream in the culture, how mainstream this has been for the last 6,000 years of recorded history.
Interesting stuff. So we were coming out of the year of the dragon, which was, well, we've got about a week left, and you are a dog, and according to Chinese astrology, the dragon and the dog don't get along so well. So how was your dragon year? How did that go for you?
Oh, Robert, we may need a full session for that. Well, as I say, we all get our turn, and I had my turn last year. My year read like a soap opera.
Yeah.
And I don't let that generally happen. But it was a very difficult year for me. And I wanted to say to all of the dog year people out there that hang in there. You are in the process of bouncing back. We are in the process of bouncing back. And things are going to start improving. In fact, this snake year for most dogs and rabbit cats that really took it on the face last year is going to be a remarkable one. So it's recovery for dogs and rabbits this year. And like I say, we all get our turn, and it's about contrast. You know, it's you cannot appreciate what you have and have the gratitude without the contrast to compare it to.
No, this is true.
You know?
Yeah.
So the oppositions tend to be rather difficult. There are worse combinations. There is one worse combination, and that is what I call the karmic combatant to each sign. And that is the sign out of the opposition, out of the trines. This is the worst of the worst. This is the one person you never could get along with.
Right.
No matter what you did, you could stand on your head, and it would not help. There's a vibe there of conflict. Now, I always say, you know, any of these relationships and relationship combinations can work with enough maturity, understanding, tolerance, and a good heart.
Right.
However, some are easier than others. And as I like to tell my own children, you know, life is tough enough without starting out with the deck stacked against you.
Right, one foot in the hole.
Know,
it's challenging enough. I would agree with you. Yeah.
Right. So if you're with someone in a partnership and there is a lot of conflict and a lot of strife, you know, you may not want to make a permanent connection with that person.
Yeah.
Because, you know, these things, relationships are so difficult and so complicated that you really need that harmony. You really need that tight soulmate compatibility.
Yeah.
You know, to weather the conflict times.
Yeah. I think you're talking about flow, and having a significant amount of flow with a person is an essential element to a relationship. I am a rat. I'm a metal rat, and we talked a little bit yesterday about my challenges in the upcoming snake year. But I'm also born in the hour of the horse, and the horse is supposed to be my opposite, and I'm not supposed to be able to get along with horses, and yet I'm born in the hour of the horse. Does that give you a step of dealing with horse people? I mean, how does something like that mitigate the potential opposite?
Well, that's the four pillars again. In fact, I just about a half an hour ago, that's what I was working on. And what happens is you will find this in a birth chart because, like I said, we don't just have one sign. You have four of them. And these compatibilities mean something in the pillars.
Right.
For instance, the day master, the day you were born, has to do with you personally. Your hour has to do with your offspring and your children. Your birth month has to do with your parents.
Right.
Your birth year, your ancestors. So these mean things to people that put this together. So when I saw a conflict like that, an opposition between a birth year pillar and a birth hour pillar, depending on the elements involved and the other parts of the chart, I would make a call on it. I would interpret it at that point. Now, here's the deal with the opposition. As you know, in Eastern thinking, there is no good, no bad. It just is. Cup is half full, cup is half empty. The cup is there. So basically, what you can do is think of it that the oppositions bring to the table what the other one does not have. The oppositions also, the direct Chinese translation, opens the money vault for the other one. So, for instance, it would probably not be a good idea for me to be in a personal relationship, a love relationship with a dragon. However, I have had very, very dear friends and very good business partners that have been dragons. So you just need to keep all of this in mind. You know, everything is mitigated by everything else, and everything, synchronicity being what it is interrelated.
So it sounds to me, Shelly, like what we're talking about here is context, like finding the right context or the right relationship with the right energy and the right sign. Is that right?
Well, yes, that is, and that's pretty much what it is right there. And these things are unseen. When we look at someone, we see them in many different ways.
Right.
I believe that we are spiritual source energy contained in a physical vessel. So when you encounter someone, your eyes see the color of their hair and their eyes and their shape, but your spirit is also sensing this individual. And it is looking for past associations, it's looking for connections, it's looking for lessons, it's looking for in-kind connections. That's what we have with the dragon snake here. We're going to talk about that. And everything has a pattern, and everything is connected to everything else.
So in my Chinese astrological chart, I'm a rat with a horse rising. I was born on the day, I believe, of the rooster. Is that like the sun sign, the rising sign, and the moon sign in West? Is that how that breaks down?
The rising sign would be the birth hour, would be the equivalent.
Okay.
What we call the companion sign, or the shadow. This is a lot of times yourself. I'm not surprised that you're a horse, with your birth hour, because this is generally what we put out to the public, our face. And the horses, of course, are the talkers. They are the communicators.
Right.
They're entwined with the tiger and the dog. They're the humanitarians. They prefer to give the speeches, not listen to them. So, and of course, the rat, the combination is a real chatter. The rat rules the hours between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So when you're born in the year of the rat, you have a need to communicate those hours, those late night talk hours, talk into the early morning. Rats give that new meaning.
True. Yep. So
you are, what that would tell me without, going into the zone and looking at your chart myself, that would tell me that you're a very, very talkative, communicative person. The horse is very decisive. They do not have problems making decisions. The rat's essence is concealment, and they generally have an ace up the sleeve. This is a very clever sign. A lot of rats are secret agents and undercover people for that reason.
That's my secret, Shelly. That's enough right there. You're going a little too far. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
You're a little too personal, Shell. Okay. So,
okay, well, we'll stop it.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around.
No, that's all right.
So let's talk about the year of the snake, okay, and the connection between the snake and the dragon, and what some of the Chinese signs, the various signs, can expect during the year of the snake.
All right, that's great. Well, this is a yin year. The years are ordered. They go yang, yin, yang, yin. That's why, even though there's 5 elements, there are 10 stems. And this 10-stem program of element is like counterpoint in music, working with the 12 archetypes. And while each sign repeats every 12 years, the specific combination of sign and element occur only once every 60 years. So these are in 60-year cycles and 120-year cycles and then 180-year cycles. So these are smaller cycles contained within larger epic cycles. So basically what we're doing is we had a yang water year last year because the water element was paired with the yang dragon. This year the water element takes its turn in the yin, or the negative feminine night force, to balance that out. Now the dragon and the snake, they together encompass the life palace of spirituality. The snake is the sage and the dragon is the magician. And together, these are both very learning, spiritual, very deep years, a rebirth, elusiveness, exploration of the arcane and life's mysteries. The water element is very, very deep. The snake is a very deep sign anyway. They are generally the power behind the throne. Their essence is slow, gradual accumulation. They don't do anything quickly. They deliberate long and hard. These are the psychiatrists and the philosophy professors and the ones that have their finger on the pulse of society. And this is the snake. Now you combine that with the water element that is very deep, that represents intuition and does not have its own form, but takes on the form of the vessel that contains it. So you get the idea. This is a very fluid, very under wraps sort of year. Mm-hmm. So it's a year to really examine where you're coming from.
And this is for everybody in general. Is that what you're saying?
This is for everyone. Yes, this is for everyone. This is the vibe of the year.
Yeah.
And now what happens is what you do is you take your own fingerprint, which is your birth chart, and what you would do is you would basically superimpose that upon the current condition. Mm-hmm. That is making sense. And basically you can see conflicts and opportunities by comparing your personal energies to what is going on in the universe right now, environmentally, vibe-wise, and spiritually. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what we do. So when I say, when we talk about oppositions and combatants and soulmates and things like that, that is how forecasting is done in Chinese astrology. Because not only each year is assigned a combination of elements and animal sign, but each month as well. Mm. And for instance, the rat rules the month of December. Mm-hmm. The ox, the month of January. The tiger, the first month in February, our New Year. The first Chinese month of the year always begins with the third sign of the tiger. Mm-hmm. So this is how we do. So knowing that you were born in the year of the rat, see, just for simplicity, not looking at the rest of your birth chart, but knowing that your trines, your peanut butter and jelly compatibility is with the monkey and the dragon, you can look, well, what monkey month is the month of August?
Right.
Dragon month is the month of April, right after that. So you can look and you can get a fairly good idea, So when you read, for instance, one of my columns or something for a forecast, say for a 3-month period, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the various signs and how they compare with what's the current time.
Right. The United States, I believe, is a dragon country, is it not?
Actually, it's a monkey.
It's a monkey country. Okay.
Yes.
How does the monkey fare in the year of the snake, specifically this country, the United States? I'm sure you've kind of looked at what lies ahead and what looks to be a challenging year for the U.S. in the year of the snake.
Okay. Well, there's good news right off the bat, and that is the monkey and the snake are soulmates.
Oh, good.
The monkey and the snake, the monkey is in the trine with the rat and the dragon, and the snake with the ox and the rooster. However, outside of those trines, the best of the best, just like the worst of the worst outside of the opposition, the best of the best is the soulmate, is that one sign. and it's the monkey and the snake. They're very, very tight. One is yin, one is yang. The monkey is the trickster, irrepressible, the eternal child, Peter Pan.
Mm.
And the snake is, of course, the deep power behind the throne. Think of Dick Cheney, whether you like him or not, he's a snake.
Yeah.
So,
okay, yeah.
In more than, okay, you can elaborate on that one. I won't touch that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what happened. So knowing that the United States has the monkey energies, it is a very, very good. Now, normally snakes, 12 years ago, in a metal snake, of course, is when we had 9/11, and 60 years previous was Pearl Harbor. So 12 years ago in the fall, I had put up this, I really had to make a call with it. And there's morals and ethics and things I won't tell people and reports and things of that nature. But this one I had to go with. And I put up in the fall, about August, just before that period, that we were coming into a very dangerous period with that metal element connected with the snake, a fire. Fire, each sign contains its own element. So it gets even more complicated. And that we were hitting that 60-year cycle of aggression from another country on us. And I will be darned, it about knocked me off my seat. And that's when I said, that's it, I'm done. If the question is asked, I'll answer it. If it's not, I'm not going to volunteer. I freaked myself out with that one, basically.
Yeah.
So there are energies that happen. We always have choices, free will. It's like what I do is a weather forecast to a pilot from the plane up ahead. That plane up ahead radios back information about turbulence, airspeed, weather conditions, and then that gives the pilot behind him the opportunity to make the call, the informed decision. Do I gain in altitude? Do I go down in altitude? Do I go around the storm? Do I wait and just, stall in a pattern? Do I go right straight through the storm? So given that information, you can make a little bit better educated decisions about things. That's how I would put it.
So could this be a bounce-back year in some ways for the United States in the year of the snake?
Yes, it is. Now, see, normally these snake years make me very nervous because they're very covert. The snake is passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself on that one. I love them to pieces. I have dear, dear, dear family members that are in the year of the snake. But we need to keep a real close eye on what's going on underneath. It's a very covert year, a yin year of that deep feminine night force, that hidden aspect. So normally I would be a little nervous about this, especially with the world conditions right now.
Yeah.
However, knowing that the United States, is containing the monkey energies, and the monkey contains a lot of metal in its sign itself, and the metal and the water element are very, very conducive to each other. They facilitate each other, and they're helpful for each other. So that gives me a little hope. I'm not going to be as nervous as I would normally. However, be careful of that fall into the winter. The fall of a snake year is the culminating point.
Interesting. Interesting, because the snake, if we look at the progression, dragon is Aries. Is that right?
Right. It would. Yes, exactly. And my Western students, I teach at the online College of Astrology, and when the Western students are about ready to graduate and get their National Council of Geocosmic Research credential, they have to take my course to get a little bit better rounded idea of some of the other major world systems.
Right.
And it's very interesting. That's always the first question they ask, and that is, well, are you saying that Capricorn would be equivalent to the ox, and are you saying that, this, and yes, it is true. There are, and you will see certain things in common, however, not everything.
Right.
But there is a correspondent month to the Western sign.
So the fall winter period will put us in right around November, which would be Scorpio, which would be opposite Snake Taurus, is that how you're lining that up?
Yes, exactly. Now, that's perfect. You got it. Now, knowing this is a snake year, the opposition to the snake is the pig, and the pig month is November.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So very, very cautious in that period. Also, the tiger month concerns me. This whole month is very, very difficult for some signs, especially after this New Year's start.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in the tiger month, which is the combatant with the snake year. It's kind of hurry up and get it done meets sloth.
Mm.
Kind of the tiger is always on the go and very restless and very, very action-oriented. Think of Steve Irwin.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Tiger. And, or Dale Earnhardt Jr., another famous tiger. So they they put the skids on in the snake year. The snake slows everybody down and does not like to be rushed, does not like to make quick decisions.
Yeah.
And it's all about feeling to the snake.
So this is a year where people are encouraged to go deeper in their personal lives, right?
Yes, and certain signs, such as the dog and rabbit, will be bouncing back to the point of finding engagements and marriages and having babies and really wonderful things.
Oh, good.
So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful year. Be careful. The snake tends to be very jealous. They wrote the book on the green eyes of jealousy. They're very possessive of that which they call their own. Their people, their belongings. They like luxury. So be real careful of the green eyes of jealousy this year.
Okay. Why don't we do this? I'm just going to give you, we're going to go down the signs, and let's just do thumbnails, real fast thumbnails for what you see for the various signs. Why don't we start with since the rat starts it all off, just do a thumbnail for the rat real quick, and then we'll go to the ox, and then we'll go to the tiger. We'll just go down the line. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And I mean, folks know their sign. Let's see, rats. Of course, you would have, if you're born in January or February, you're going to be very cuspy. If you're born in the last month or moon, for instance, my birthday's in January, so I'm a 12th moon or last moon dog, just before the year of the pig in 1959. Mm-hmm. So you will have characteristics, just very similar to Western astrology, of both signs, with the oncoming energies being felt. But generally speaking, the rats, 1948, 1960, 1972, 1984, 96, 2008, these are our rats. And this year, it is a secretive, cloistered, undercover year for rats. Mm-hmm. They are the masters of the underworld and of imagination. Most rats have a lot of writing talent. So if you don't have a body of work, please put it together this year for the rat.
Good.
Put your things together in the portfolio and be ready to show your work.
Good.
Keep your assets under wrap. Don't encourage any sort of friction with family members. Just keep a low profile for the rats, because we know what snakes do to rats.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, why don't we stop there, okay? And let's, instead of you going through each sign, let's have some calls, because people are going to have, they'll bring their sign into this. This would be a good way to interact with the audience.
Awesome. That would be wonderful.
Let's do that, because there's 11 other signs, and maybe if somebody else has a rat, you can elaborate on that further. There's been somebody that's been on hold here for even before the show started. Let's bring her on. Let's have her have a moment with you here, Shelly. Here we go.
All righty, sure.
Hi there, and thanks for holding for so long. What's your name, and what would you like to ask Shelly?
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I wanted to know how will my love life be this year.
Do you know your Chinese sign?
I think I'm a pig. The year I was born was 1983.
1983. Yes, that's a water pig or boar this year. And again, snakes and pigs have a very difficult relationship. So it's not a really good year for your love life. It's just a difficult vibration between the pig and the snake. pigs tend to get betrayed in snake years. I hate to be the prophet of doom here, but be very, very careful with your affections and your heart. Pigs need companionship and physical love and emotional security, and so many times they get into the rut of giving more than they get. So be super careful of that. Don't give more than you're getting back.
So if she's the pilot of her aircraft, should she get up above the turbulence, or should she go below the turbulence, or should she turn around or go to some other city? I mean, how would yeah.
Well, that's very poetic of you, Robert. I would say gain altitude, while the rats need to lay low and go under the radar. The pigs need to, because they are the Boys and Girl Scouts, the Eagle Scouts of the zodiac. They really are really decent, honest, good people, and they are very capable of taking the high road, and that is my best advice for pigs this year. Stay above it, take the high road, watch your heart.
There we go. Did that work for you over there?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for holding. Take good care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's take another call. I think this might be our friend Megan in Austin. Let's find out.
Hi, how did you know?
I'm psychic, what can I say?
Fantastic.
Hi there.
Hi. I was born in 1968 in April.
Nice.
I'm a monkey.
In April. Okay, right, Earth monkey. This is a wonderful year for you. Oh my goodness. Are you single?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, if you were single, I would tell you to get your dance card ready. But this year, for married monkeys, it's really a time to really get closer together. And some monkeys will even renew their vows this year with the family.
Aww.
Probably, it would be really nice during a holiday, one of those surprise. You're all together. Oh, yes, we have a little surprise for you also. It would just be really sentimental and nice. This is a wonderful year for you.
Cute.
It's very difficult to define monkeys. They are the kaleidoscope. Their irrepressible nature. They have many personalities, many personas. They're mischievous and high-spirited and very social. So it's going to be a very social year for you. And,
yay. And career-wise, does that fit in with that sort of profession and career?
Yes, it does. It certainly does. And any sort of new partnerships that are formed this year would be good.
Hey,
go ahead and take the leap.
Hey, Shelly, just to give you a real quick background here, Megan. Megan has written a children's book on dealing with loss and grieving, and it's been kind of in suspended animation for a little while. How would the snake year affect somebody like Megan, born in the year of the monkey, who has something printed but has not really gotten off the ground yet? Is there any advice you would give someone like that?
Oh, thanks, Robert. Great question.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. Do you have a body of work and you have a published manuscript, you say?
Yes. Self-published.
Okay, it's published and it's not having the kind of sales and robust movement that you'd like to see?
Exactly.
Okay, social networking, that's what it's about. You need to stay very tight with those in the profession. Do you have a publicist?
No, ma'am.
By chance, you might consider that. Monkeys are very capable of promoting themselves. In fact, I would love to have your assistance. But they're not real good at promoting themselves. They're good at promoting other people. And they have they're a little more self-effacing when it comes to itself. Now, here's another really good thing about this year for you, is that you are an earth monkey, and earth traps and contains the water. It conquers the water. The two are normally elements in conflict, but it is a money year for the monkey because it traps the water, and water represents wealth. It represents the moon, again, that negative feminine night force. So basically, this is going to be a very, very good year for you, but you're going to have to work with it. You're going to have to network and talk to other people about opportunities, and I think you'll be surprised I think, what happens this year.
That sounds fun. Exactly what I need. A little exciting.
And it's so wonderful
fun.
that you speak speak Chinese. Can we speak Chinese together? It's wonderful about the children's books. That is so monkey-like. That is because they are the eternal children. They are the Peter. They can totally relate to children, and they're like oxen in that way. But they just have this delicious sense of humor, and they're fun, and they're just wonderful. They're wonderful with children. So that pleases me greatly that you're doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Robert.
Good luck.
Hey, thanks again. I'm going to put you back on hold. Hang in there, okay?
Okay. Have a wonderful day, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I got to tell you, Shelly, my phone lines have never been busier.
Really? Oh, awesome. That's
I mean,
wonderful.
my phone lines are stacked right now. Maybe I should shift to Chinese astrology. Maybe I'm in the wrong hemisphere with my astrology.
Oh, no, Robert, we need you. We need you. We need balance.
All right.
You keep that Western.
Let's take another call here. Let's go to the. I think this is a Skype call. Let's find out. Hi, thanks for holding. What's your name and what's your Chinese sign, if you know it?
Hello?
Yeah, hi. You're on the air.
Rose Maria and Tiger.
Tiger.
Are you a tiger?
I believe so. 74.
1974. That's a wood tiger. Okay. What month?
December.
In December, a Sag wood tiger. Oh, my goodness. Well, as I mentioned, this is going to be, the tigers are the restless, adventurous, risk-takers of the zodiac, and they are in forward movement at all times, and they don't have a lot of downtime. They tend to exhaust themselves because they don't have a lot of downtime, and this year will help with that. It will force you, whether you want to or not, to rest. And tigers don't like to rest too much. So this year, the biggest conflict between this year and tigers, the combatant, is the complete difference in energies. One is slow and methodical and quiet, and the tiger, like I said, is anything but quiet, and they are running in when everyone else is running out. So this year is going to feel like a little bit of a wet blanket for you, dear, but it's okay because we all get our turn and work with these energies, work with these conflicting contrast energies to grow and to use them as stepping stones and learning opportunities.
Cool.
Okay. Are we complete here? Is that good?
Yeah.
Is that a relationship or?
Oh, you're about your relationships this year. Are you married?
No.
Not married this year. Well, I would advise you the same as some of the other signs to be very, very cautious, same as the pigs. And you will rise above it too, because the pigs and tigers are soulmates. It's really funny. The soulmates both have, they share combatants and oppositions, just opposite of each other. So it's really funny when I say the dogs and the rabbits took it on the face last year.
Cool.
They're soulmates, and it's just like the tiger and the pig. So it's not a good year to get into a serious relationship. Just kind of put the skids on for right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if people are not focusing on a relationship, obviously there's other areas of their life that they can build up and actually experience some growth in, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I can't, without getting dramatic, I cannot even tell you the metamorphosis of my own self this year. Mm-hmm. I have faced things this year that I would have never in a million years thought could happen to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm still reeling from it, but I've learned a lot of things. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned about what I'm capable of, and that I am okay within myself.
So challenge, we grow through challenge, we grow through change, and sometimes challenge and change forces us to take different tacks with our lives. So somebody like Rosemary, where you're saying, hey, you may want to step back and cool out on the relationship angle. There are other areas of your life that you can build out and grow through. So it's not all a complete wash. If fancy energy this year is saying, hey, look, have some perspective, have some detachment, but there's other areas where you can really expand and grow, correct?
Exactly, yes, exactly. And her finances are going to improve this year with that earth trapping the water. But I would stay away from any serious commitments. I'm not saying not to date and don't have fun, but I would stay away from, I'd be very, very cautious. Stay away from, as a tiger, you want to stay away from certain signs.
How about a Scorpio? I'm not sure what they are.
Do you know what year?
60.
You have a boyfriend? 1960?
No. Friendship.
Oh, so you're with a 1960 gentleman?
No, not with him, just friends. As
just
of now.
Friends, okay.
As of now.
1960 is one of the best years. I'm just going to chime in right now. It's a great year, 1960.
Of course it was, Robert. You graced us with your presence. Of course it was. Oh, my goodness. Well, again, it's always a mixed bag. There is no good without the bad. And that balance is what's so important.
All right, Rosemary, we're going to move on. Thanks for calling in, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, so let's take a few more calls here. How's your energy? You okay, Shelly?
I'm doing just fine. I got my tea still. We're good to half my body chemistry is green tea.
Uh-huh.
So.
I love that. Okay, let's take another call here. Hey, thank you for calling in. What is your name? And if you know your Chinese sign, why don't you go ahead and bark that out? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Oh, if you can hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, excellent. Yes, hi, this is Sandra. Shelly, it's fantastic that you're there. Oh, my.
Oh, thank you. Is this Sandra, you said?
Yes. My birthday is actually on Chinese New Year, and my question is this. It's January 29th, 1949. It's when the rat sign goes into the oxen sign. But my question, Shelly, please, is which one of these signs would hold more importance with my reading overall?
Oh, it would be your where you actually fell. For instance, Steve Irwin was born on the first day of the Chinese New Year in Tiger Year. You can just put an exclamation point after that. So the closer you are to the after the actual Asiatic New Year, the more defined the archetype will be in your life. Now, if you're a 12th moon, again, a last moon, if you fall in the previous signs, energies, you need to look at the entire chart. It's more complicated. It's not a simple call. I would need to see a lot of other things to make a call on it.
One of the pretty neat things is I have 3 daughters, and the second daughter is a rat, and the third daughter is an oxen, and we're extremely close.
Oh, yes. That's a soulmate connection, the rat and the ox. Oh, that's precious.
And I'm married to an oxen. We've been together, or an ox. We've been together for about 30 years now. We're both oxen.
Oh, my goodness. Salt of the earth. It's the salt of the earth family.
Yes, I believe I'm earth and he's fire or something, but we're both very stubborn, but we see things the same way, thank goodness.
Oh, yes. Well, the oxen's essence is endurance. They are the marathon. They're the marathon sign. They're very stable, firm family and fatherland. That's what it's about. They're very dutiful to their family. Female oxen, Princess Diana. They are like the monkeys. They're the consummate children. They're the consummate earth mothers. Is the oxen, and they are just as they make their food from scratch, and they sew generally and quilt. They're genius with their hands. They're just genius with their hands, and it's just a wonderful sign. It's very stable. My son is an ox, and he is just. He's just the most wonderful person, and it's that stability. He's very serious. His sister calls him the bite cop of the family, but they're all business. Oxen are all business, and they like things done the right way. Like people breaking the rules and doing things they shouldn't be doing. So it's a wonderful sign. But boy, 2 oxen, and then ox and a rat daughter. How beautiful is that? That's very nice.
We all pretty well get together. We're argumentative sometimes. The monkey kind of, she rocks the boat a lot, but there again, she's playful. You know, she she gets the old oxen riled up sometimes, but she doesn't mean anything negative by it. She's just what she can do, how far she can push the envelope. You know, she's mischievous.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this is a wonderful year for you and your husband.
Thank you.
The oxen are they're in trine. This is a really good harmony year for you.
Well, we have some dreams coming up. He was in a really bad automobile accident about 1.5 years ago. He's recovering, and we're hoping to have some goals met this year. We're really working on them together. It's been rough. We've been through, in half of Georgia. We have been through so much, and we just don't give up.
No, the oxen endure. They are.
We don't know how. We don't know how to start new things. We just hang in there.
Wrote the book on hanging in there.
Yes, but thank you so much for being here for us. This is
so
fantastic.
Oh, it's
Robert,
a pleasure.
Robert is something else. He has brought so much pleasure and enlightenment and that incisiveness that I was talking to him last week and saying, well, it's like he chews it up for us, breaks it down, and then puts it out, and we can look at it and see exactly, things in the news and just so many things going on in the world. He's awesome. I mean, he is phenomenal to me. He's a Virgo, and that's great.
I think you have a fan, Robert.
I'm blushing right here, my face.
I was going to say, are you blushing?
It looks like
well,
you're sweet. You're so sweet.
Okay. Sandra,
the Virgos are very, very factual. They're very knowledgeable, and you're very sharing, and they're just here for service. I think they really find a lot of joy in helping others.
I'll tell you, since I'm born on the 29th degree of Virgo, it took me a while to kind of, embrace that. Once I embraced it in my own way, right, in my own context, then it got a lot easier for me. So I would say that you're right about that, and I really appreciate you calling in and being a part of the show too, Sandra.
Well, thank you, and everyone have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for being here, Ms. Shelly.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day, Sandra.
You too as well. Take care now. You're blessed.
Thanks, Sandra.
Bye.
So what's really interesting about the ox, Shelly, is my ex-wife is an ox.
Boy.
And okay, here's where it gets interesting for me. From the Western perspective, she is an Aries ox, okay?
Okay.
And
she's a stubborn one.
And the qualities that you described about the ox, there was some fit there, but especially the endurance part, because she wound up becoming a triathlete. She did triathlons.
I see.
And this was later, actually after we split up. But
with the soulmate,
changed it. The Aries energy was very different with the ox. I mean, it was like an ox with a turbocharger or something.
Yes, it is, and you'll find this with the soulmates. Now they are like lasers to each other. They hook up and connect regularly. Now here's the problem: they are either married for 50 years, or if something happens, which we don't live in a perfect world, it's likely to happen. When they break up, it's not pretty. Right. And it is said, as I talk about in the second book, neither one of them generally fully recovers.
Mm-hmm.
There is a piece that is left with this individual. Not that there isn't that with all relationships that end, but there's a special connection between the rat and the ox,
right?
Between the dog and the rabbit, tiger and the pig, the snake and the monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Rooster and the dragon are soulmates. These are combinations that are they're surreal. They feel differently. And you have to be very careful because they are the things that the soap operas are made of.
Interesting.
Because the passion and the feelings run so deeply between the two that, again, when it's good, it's really, really good. But if something goes wrong, oh, my goodness.
So people, based on their track record of calling into the show and my experience as being an astrological and tarot and psychic reader, people are very, very interested in relationships. And it seems like there's a lot of information in the Chinese system about relationships. Which one of your books, if somebody wanted to get one of your books to find out more about this aspect, which one would you recommend?
Oh, the second one, definitely, Chinese Sexual Astrology, and don't let the title scare you away. There is a provocative part in there for adults only about the sexual love preferences and love-making preferences of each sign. That's in the back. But that is the one. There are certain connections and patterns that are presented in that book that have never been presented in English before.
Interesting.
So it's beyond. There are other connections besides these trines and oppositions and soulmates that I'm talking about.
And ShellyWu.com obviously is where people can find your books. Also, Amazon and all the other major online booksellers, they carry them.
Yeah,
right?
Right. ChineseAstrology.com.
ChineseAstrology.com. Okay.
Yeah, that's the main website, and.
Well, how much is that URL worth now, man? I mean, you're probably sitting on a little bit of a gold mine there with that URL.
I don't know. Us dogs, we could care less about money and that sort of thing. I mean, we're terrible about it. We are. We'll give away the store. We could care less.
Oh.
So we just wish we could go back to a barter system where we didn't have this money stuff, And,
yeah.
And people are always like, gosh, you just never will think you are all that, will you? And I'm like, well, welcome to the world of the dog.
Well, let's bring on another caller here and let you apply some of your magic once more. Here's Gussie is here on. Hello, Gussie is here. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Great. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Well, my real name is Allison, but I go by Gussie on the web on Skype.
Gussie, okay.
Gussie, yeah. As Robert knows, I also do astrology, but not Chinese astrology. I do the Western. So I am just thoroughly drinking up your knowledge. I commend you.
What is your birth date?
It's March 1957, so I'm a fire rooster, which is contrary to all of my Piscean and Earth in my natal chart.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's quite a contrast, I have to say. It's quite the contrast.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the roosters. Oh, my goodness.
Fire rooster on top of it.
And then a fire. You little firecracker, you?
I think some people would say that.
Well, they're awesome. The application, the ability to apply themselves, is the essence of the rooster. They, of course, are our first ones up, are resourceful. I know how to do this right. Just get out of my way, and I'll take care of it. That's our little roosters, our little red hens, and they're going to have a wonderful year this year. This is a trine year. The rooster is in harmonious trine with the snake and the ox. So, and all three signs are yin. So you're just going to fit in real fine. The fire and water elements are a clash and makes a steam. So watch your temper. Watch your temper. Don't let people get your goat. Don't let them pull you into confrontation that your brain is telling you shouldn't be in.
Okay.
So be real careful of that steam.
Okay.
Otherwise, it should be a wonderful year for you. If you have any sort of business contacts or any partnerships in particular, it's a good year.
I am unemployed, and I'm just real tired of, and therefore I have no income. Money has been a big issue. Unemployment has been a big issue for quite a number of years, and I'm just real tired of, what's the word I'm looking for, settling for just, really menial survivor jobs, barely.
May. That's your month. That's what's coming to me right now.
What's that?
The snake month of May.
Okay.
A double snake for you. That's when your money is going to start coming in.
In May. Uh-huh.
in May. That's when we are going to transition into a snake month. You'll have the double snake energies. That should open it up for you.
Uh-huh.
So just make the background preparation and keep your eyes open for opportunities. And I would not be surprised if your financial situation was not a lot better by summer.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Hang in there, girl.
I try.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you both.
You're welcome, Gussie.
Uh-huh.
Here.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's just take a few more here, and then we'll transition out of our hour with Shelly, or hour and a half or so with Shelly, and move on to maybe the Western stuff. So let's go to 913. Let's see who they are and what their sign is. Hi there. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. I'm really enjoying the show today.
Good. Excellent.
My name is Andy, and I think I'm a wood snake. March 24th, 1965. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you are. Oh my goodness. March 24th, you say?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yes, that is a snake. That's a wood snake. They are in the East. They want their women and their girls to be born in the year of the snake, because it is said that she is both beautiful and wise. And that is a pretty potent combination for daughters and marrying daughters. They want their boys born in the year of the dragon, and they want their girls in the year of the snake, because of the beauty and the wisdom of the snake female. So it's...
hey. How does a wood snake fare? Isn't this a water snake year?
Yes, it is. Now, the water nourishes the wood and helps it to grow, in the 5 courses, the i-ching theory. And so it's a very, very good year for you. The water will nourish your element, will help you, will help the wood grow, and the snake, it's your year. It's very, very harmonious for you.
Great. Well, I've gone back to school, and I'm in the midst of graduate school, so it's...
Awesome. Your best month will be August, that monkey month, your soulmate month. A soulmate month and the snake year, girl. It's all happening for you in August.
I'm married to a monkey, and I don't know if it's a soulmate or not. It's certainly a lesson.
How long have you been married?
Oh, it seems like a couple hundred years, but about 10.
That's funny.
You're so cute. Well, yeah,
thank you.
He's a handful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's a little mischievous. Yeah, you got to watch him.
Yeah, got to watch him. That's right.
He's a trickster.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
both
Andy.
so much.
Thanks
You too.
for
Bye-bye.
My son is a monkey, Shelly.
Is he?
Yeah. He's a...
oh, my goodness.
He's a wood monkey, by the way.
A wood monkey.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So you had to have a pair of roller skates to keep up with him, I'll bet. His mama did.
You have no doubt about that. I mean, he's... let me tell you what's happened to this kid since he's been born. He's broken his leg. He's broken his finger. He was bit by a squirrel on the tip of his finger. Let's see. He's had teeth chipped, gashes above both eyes, right and left, so he has matching scars that look like shadow eyebrows on both eyes. This kid has been, for lack of accident.
What month and year was he born, Robert?
He was born in 2004, and he's a Pisces. He's a March wood monkey.
Oh my goodness! He is going to be one that transforms things. This is the personality. This is sort of a Pisces monkey. This is somebody who can take an overgrown shrub and make it into this beautiful clubhouse. They can take strings and pieces of paper and all kinds of things and just come up with something that works.
You are so on with that, because he does stuff like that. He will take bits and pieces of like paper clips and cups, and next thing you know, he's got a little city. I mean, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, they specialize in transformation.
Interesting.
And again, the sense of humor is always the way to reach him. If you're in any kind of difficulty, if you can make it silly. And it's wonderful because the rat and monkey are in trine. So he will probably always feel a close association with you.
Yeah.
Very, very nice combination.
We get along really well. Can you take just a couple more? Is that okay?
Sure, I can take a couple more.
Okay.
I think I've got a sip or two of tea left.
Okay, let's do. Let's just burn through these. I got 3 people on hold. Let's clear the lines, and then we're gonna wind this down and let Shelly go off and recharge her. So here we go. Let's make these pretty quick, and we're gonna bring you on. Just say your name, and if you know your Chinese sign, share that as well. Here we go. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. Oh, what happened there? There we go. That was. Try this one. Hello there.
Yeah. Hey, Robert. This is Eric.
Hey, Eric. What's going on, man?
Hey, I just thought I'd see what you had to say about me. I'm a wood rabbit, and I'm also a rabbit rising.
Ooh. Hello. That is one of my favorite signs. Also referred to as the cat in Southeast Asia and Vietnam, or Le Chat in France. But in Japan and the rest of the East, this is known as the 4th sign of the zodiac, which is the rabbit. And the rabbit's essence is detachment. They do not have a tolerance for chaos, disruption, fighting, war, blood, gore, crisis, all that. They will be out of there on the other side of the street very, very quickly. They are the creatives, the musicians, the artists. They're yin. This is a very refined sign, very similar to the snake in that they like nice things. And it's a very classy, very cultured sign. It's also a very gentle sign. The rabbits are known to be some of the best friends. They specialize in their brand of friendship. And many times their friends are closer to them than their family. So they're all known for that. And what month did you say, Eric? And
I'm September 15th.
September,
75.
okay, of 75. Are you married right now?
No.
Okay, this could happen for you. You could find a really compatible partner this year in the snake year. Again, you had to have just had a really tough last couple of years, especially this last year, because the rabbit and the dragon are combatants. It's the opposition for the dog, but it's the combatant for the rabbit. And it's just stomped us down in a lot of ways. So this is a year for you to bounce back. This is going to be such a much better year for you. And again, keep your heart open and your eyes open. Get yourself out there socially and see what doesn't happen.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Let's the other caller who dropped out just ring back in. Here we go. Hey, you're back on the air. Thanks for calling. Take 2. Hello? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. And we'll see you later. Okay, here's our last caller of the day. And here we go. Hello?
Hi, my name's Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
How are you guys?
I'm wonderful.
Good. I've enjoyed listening to the show.
Terrific.
I believe I'm a rabbit. I was born in 1963.
63 water rabbit, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And what do you see coming up for me this year?
Oh, so just like I said, it's a wonderful year for you to be bouncing back. And the water, again, is very, very, very conducive to your own water element. And this is it's a wonderful year. It's a year to find a love relationship for the rabbit and for business partnership.
Nice.
And it's just a completely different ball game than last year. Not that there's not going to be some bumps. There's always bumps. But I'm just so happy to give you that news because I can just feel what the stress. And it's going to get a lot better.
Good.
So that's wonderful.
It's been pretty intense, you know.
Yeah. Are we having fun yet, Teresa?
You know, I try and have fun no matter what I do, and I get upset when I'm not having fun. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know. What is with that? But
well, I don't know. I've just been so diving into all the universal stuff that it seems like I have my head filled with so much information, and it's trying just to sort it all out, you know?
Oh, this is a good year to do that. Yeah, this is a great, great year to do that. And any sort of meditation, any sort of the arcane sciences or metaphysics, this is a wonderful year for you to explore that and explore yourself and how that relates to you. So
wonderful.
Congratulations on survival.
Thank you. I can feel you feel that, you know.
Can we sigh now? Oh, okay.
There's a lot of empathy in this room right now. I can feel it too.
Yeah, you guys
wonderful
are great.
All right, well, thank you very much, Teresa. All right, take care.
You too. Appreciate your time.
Well, Shelly, this has been a tremendous experience. I've really, really, really enjoyed you being on the show here today. Incredible. Oh, thank you, Robert. It's been a privilege and a pleasure. Hey, I had a quick question for you about the rabbit. I had heard that the male rabbit is one of the signs, or the male rabbit is one of the individuals in the Chinese zodiac, which most often will lead a fairly consistent and at times lifelong bachelor existence. Is that true? Yes, it is. It's true. They are the consummate bachelors because their essence is detachment. Forever is a long time to the rabbit. Yeah. Very long time. This until death do us part business. Yeah. They are out the door. So commitment is an issue for the old rabbit then. Yes, it is commitment because, again, they're very cautious. Mm-hmm. They're like the snakes in that way. They're very cautious. They think long and hard. And anyone that wants to be in a romantic relationship with a rabbit has got to be time-tested. Mm-hmm. This has to be someone who they feel is loyal, who they feel comfortable with, that they have history with. So the best advice I can give those people trying to get together with their rabbit partners is basically not to push them, but to, they're always attracted with honey rather than the vinegar. So ultimatums rarely work. Yeah. But basically, they come by it naturally. They take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. And they take their commitment very seriously, so they're very, very cautious to do that. And like I said, forever is a long time if you're a rabbit. Yeah. So. Well, if people want to find out, obviously, more about your stuff, they can go to ChineseAstrology.com. You also you've just touched on these signs in a very tacit, focused, yet very light fashion, and you do more extensive, deeper, and blown-out readings for people. True, right? Yes, that's true. I have services from the really advanced and complicated Zhui Doshu charts that take me about 60 hours, about 2 weeks to complete them. It goes all around decade by decade, from the destiny all the way, just you can see year by year. Then I've got an element analysis, which is kind of this rock, paper, scissors that I've been talking about, and where I'll analyze the stars in the Destiny Palace and put them in there too, and your yearly forecast, and that sort of thing. I have I love compatibility because that's a very common question. Right. So if you would like a couple of people analyzed, I can do that for you too. Otherwise, just stop by and drop a line and say hi. One-stop shop. Beautiful. One-stop shop. Thank you, Shelly, so much. This has been great and wonderful getting to know you. And maybe we'll have you back on the show, maybe, at the halfway point of the year, and we'll do kind of an assessment 6 months into the snake. How does that sound? That sounds wonderful. That's great. That would be terrific. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Take care, Shelly. Okay. Sai-Chen. That was the wonderful Shelly Wu, and that was great, huh? I mean, we got to experience another system outside of the Western system,
And she was incredibly kind and patient and giving, and in my estimation, exhibited the qualities and traits of the Chinese year that she was born in, which is the year of the dog. And we got to see that, feel that, and experience that right here with her presence. And ChineseAstrology.com is where you can find Shelly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit of music. I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, we'll talk about a little Western astrology and a few other things, and we'll probably wrap the show up here today. And let's play a little bit of Stephen Lee Hill. Let's see if we can find this. Well, how about a little testing 1, 2, 3? We haven't heard this song in a while. This is our friend Stephen Hill, the experiencer and the bloodline, apparently representative of the Anunnaki here on this planet, and the front man for the Stephen Hill Project. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'll be back in 3 minutes and 6 seconds, and then we'll talk a little Western astrology. You're listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm Robert Phoenix. I am your host. Here we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. I have about 10,000 windows open, and I'm just trying to get back to the studio here, and I've made it. So once again, thanks to Shelly Wu for being a wonderful and cordial and giving guest on the show. I really appreciate that. So now we can get into a little bit of Western astrology and talk about what's going on today. Today is the birthday, by the way, of Ronald Reagan and Bob Marley. Can you believe that? Ronald Reagan and Bob Marley. And I'm doing a series of posts on the site about the Aquarian age. And Marley and Reagan play a very interesting role in this whole notion of the Aquarian age. And they represent aspects of it. And what I was trying to do and still working out with this whole notion of, when is the Aquarian age? Did it start already? Is it going to start? Well, I think it's a complicated question. And I don't necessarily, there are some answers. Like me, firmly, I believe that the Aquarian age will begin when Pluto moves into Aquarius on the other side of this shithole of Pluto and Capricorn. No, I'm just kidding. But Pluto and Capricorn is testing us in a very big way. And we have the opportunity to get to something very interesting with Pluto and Aquarius. And I've talked about this before, but the last time Pluto was in Aquarius in this country, it was called, in theological terms, the Second Great Awakening. And that's when we had this proliferation of all these different branches of Christianity and even some variants which begin to resemble New Age religions, a.k.a. Mormonism, which takes root really during the Second Great Awakening with the birth and upbringing of Joseph Smith, who was born and raised during the Second Great Awakening. And through him we have, in my estimation, the first New Age religion, which is Mormonism in this country. So I believe we'll see more of that with Pluto and Aquarius, but in an even greater, more profound kind of experience, especially as we go through the dark night of the soul, the collective and planetary dark night of the soul with Pluto and Capricorn. That's my estimation. However, there's also this concept that the age of Aquarius is happening right now as we talk. We're embodying it since there is no time and space, theoretically, and that has occurred throughout history, and has occurred as a program and as a concept played out during various Aquarius cycles. And on the site, I absolutely looked at this with Uranus in Aquarius and the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and Saturn in Aquarius, which really is the start and the beginning of the new age of Aquarius, or the age of Aquarius, or the new age in this country via the 1960s. And I get into that fairly in depth on the site, and I'm going to do more of that as well. I'm working on a piece right now which talks about the Great Society and how that, in some ways, is a reflection of the Aquarian age, or the age of Aquarius. The Great Society, of course, the brainchild of Lyndon Baines Johnson, although it probably wasn't his idea. He was really the facilitator of the Great Society. And that starts in earnest right around 1964, and with some very interesting acts that take place in Congress. And out of that, we have things like VISTA and all these social programs that we are having to deal with right now. And then what's really interesting, and I get into this in the piece, I haven't finished it yet, but there are two individuals, Cloward Piven, Francis Fox Piven, and David Cloward, and they formed a team, and they are a radical team, and what they did is they were taking the work of Saul Alinsky, who is an Aquarius, and I'm going to be getting into Alinsky in much more depth in this piece, or series of pieces, and they wanted to take his ideas and really flesh them out and work them out. And what they wanted to do, what Cloward Piven wanted to do, is they wanted to completely overthrow the system. And this was starting in earnest in 1966, which is the year of the fire horse, if you play with Chinese astrology. And what they did is they decided that they were going to take some of Alinsky's ideas and implement them. And one of his core principles is to use the energy and the promise and the morality and the principles of the system against itself, because the system would not be able to stand up and uphold its own principles and would have to cave in. So what they decided to do was they decided to basically flood the welfare rolls, and they started very locally. They started in New York City, And John Lindsay at that time was being pressured. He was a liberal New York mayor, and he was being pressured by special interest groups, specifically Black American special interest groups who were working with Cloward Piven. And they were using Lindsay's liberal slant and the welfare system at the time, which was quite young, in order to get more and more money out of the welfare system. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to break it. They were trying to overload the welfare system. And this was a strategy that was employed and picked up by Acorn and a number of other groups. And so what we have here is we have the rise of the welfare state. And that comes out of this idea that they wanted to crash the system and create something new. They wanted to create something more egalitarian, more balanced. They wanted to take away money from the rich, from the middle class. They wanted to basically give everybody a clean slate and a clean wipe, and everybody had an equal say and an equal share. This is classic socialism, and yet it's dressed up as kind of an Aquarian ideal. So there is a component of socialism that is Aquarian. We cannot separate the two out. Now, what gets interesting is that you have Ronald Reagan come along at the beginning of the 80s, and he is the antithesis of socialism. And what he brings as an Aquarian is another piece and another angle of the Aquarian puzzle. And what that is that the individual is empowered. The individual has the freedom and the rights and the choice to be able to live their life accordingly, freely, and in a very Aquarian kind of way, a very egalitarian kind of way. But for Reagan, it was top down, not bottom up. This was the strategy that was employed by him as an Aquarian. And what's really interesting is that Reagan employed Stanford Research Institute. And what he did is he got Stanford Research Institute to send out ballots. And these are like ballots. When I'm talking ballots, these are punch cards, computer punch cards, to thousands of people. And what they did is they punched these cards like, you would poke it with a pencil, right? This is how they used to do all the computer stuff. Like when you wanted to vote for a baseball player for the baseball all-star game, you would punch a little chat out. And then those chads would be read by computers. So at Stanford Research Institute, they sent out thousands of these chad cards to men and women around the country between a certain age group. And at that time, I believe it was like 30 and 42. And what they found out was that these people really wanted to just live their lives and live their lives accordingly based on their ability to make their own decisions, based on their ability to spend money the way that they wanted to. These are the boomers, and this was what Reagan was getting into. He was getting into the heads of the boomers. And so what Stanford Research Institute did is they collated this information and they passed it back to Reagan and his team. Now, this is a very Aquarian thing to do, by the way, to be able to use computers and to gather information and to understand groupthink or collective thought. And then the Reagan administration or the Reagan team, what they did is they now had a strategy. They had a campaign strategy. And he said, basically, we're going to get out of the way. We are not here to be big government. In fact, we're going to have less government. In fact, we're going to deregulate. We're going to get rid of a lot of these things, and we're going to let you sort it out. Well, on one level, that sounded great to this group of people who at that time just wanted to be free and live their own lives and make their own choices. On another level, what it did was it opened the floodgates for corporations because there are certain things, certain governing bodies, for instance, the savings and loan people. We had the savings and loan industry in this country, the SLCs, right, savings and loan corporations. And when they had deregulation on savings and loans, well, guess what happened? The robber barons came in, the Michael Milkens came in, and they essentially used the savings and loans, once they were deregulated, to take the money out of the savings and loans and put them in various markets. Put them in derivatives markets, futures markets, you name it. If your money was in an S&L at that time, you were screwed because they allowed the S&Ls to essentially take your money. So a lot of the deregulation took place during the Reagan administration. And, of course, we had this whole understanding or the Reaganomics, the voodoo economics, which was going to literally give the rich in this country license to do pretty much anything they want. Tax breaks, you name it, low interest loans, you name it. We're going to empower the rich because the rich are going to create the jobs. The jobs are going to then stimulate the economy. This was the idea. This was the thought. In principle, it sounds like a good idea. However, the 1% got incredibly rich, and then what happened? They took advantage of more deregulation during the Clinton administration, and that deregulation took place abroad in places like China and India and Korea, and instead of investing that money here in this country, they took it abroad and they took it into other countries. So we can see here the progression of events that took place from Reagan through Bush, Clinton. And now we're at another point in this node. But getting back to Reagan, Reagan actually believed his rhetoric. He believed that if we allowed people to live their lives, that we could theoretically be free, right? That's a very Aquarian ideal, but it was a very different Aquarian ideal from the systemized collectivization of Aquarius that was taking place during the 1960s and the Great Society, and then we have the incursion of the 60s radical left in trying to break the system using the tools put in place by the Great Society. Again, a very Aquarian, revolutionary kind of energy. Now, so Reagan represents, in his own way, a very Aquarian ideal. Today's his birthday. The other person whose birthday it is today is Bob Marley. And Bob Marley is another Aquarian ideal. Bob Marley is one love. Bob Marley is, he is joy, he is freedom. Bob Marley is one of the great icons of the 20th century, by the way. And I believe that Bob Marley was a huge threat, a tremendous threat to the powers that be. And one of the reasons why Bob Marley was such a tremendous threat was that he was understanding the game, okay? Bob Marley was understanding this whole concept of Babylon. And he sings quite a bit about Babylon. There's a record called Babylon by Bus. It's his live record. And Marley was untying the knots. He was seeing that the people that were in charge of the control grid matrix on this planet were the same people that were running the show in Babylon. They were the high priests of Babylon, and they had just descended and incarnated through their bloodlines and through their systems and through their schools and through their societies. It was still here, and they were still running the game. Instead, they were wearing suits instead of pointed hats. And this is what Marley was understanding. And he was beginning to sing about it in very interesting ways. But more than just being somebody who could say, hey, the system is fucked and these are the people that are doing it, he was actually providing some spiritual succor, some spiritual force, one love. This is a very Aquarian ideal. And of course, Marley himself, his band was like a collective. The Wailers were, they were very collectivized and very interesting group. And Marley himself, super Aquarian, he wound up having a number of different children, a number of different wives. But I think somewhere, and this is, I think somewhere within Reagan, between Reagan and Marley, there is the answer. There is, if you were to fuse Ronald Reagan and Bob Marley together, if you were to have the collective and tribalism, the collective tribalism of Marley, the one love, freedom and spirit, the desire to have absolutely no segregation, no racism, no walls, that's all very Marley. And then if you have the spirit of Reagan, where the individual can achieve, the individual is the one that has the ability to make their own way in life and to be the sort of the force and the will and the nature of the individual expression of humanity on this planet. You bring the two of them together, and bang, what you have is a fusion of the Aquarian ideal in two very different individuals, in Robert Nestor Marley and Ronald Reagan. And unfortunately, they're not here to put them in a strange piece of technology and genetically fuse them, although who knows, maybe somewhere they've done that. But what we do have is their spirit, and we have their contribution, and everything that's gone before us in our human experience is part of our human experience, and we get to tap into that and use that and make use of that. So there we go. Just a little bit of a rant on the Aquarian age in the month of Aquarius. It is, speaking of Aquarius, on Friday I'm going to have John Trudell on the show. And some of you may be familiar with John. Some of you may not be familiar with him. If you're not familiar with him, you can go online and you can do some research. There's a great documentary about him. I highly recommend you find it and watch it. It gives you some background on who John is. He's an American Indian, Native American Indian activist, and he's been around since the occupation of Alcatraz, and he was involved in the incident at Ogallala and Pine Ridge, and suffered the tragedy of having his wife and children burned to death in their home on the reservation in Pine Ridge. And he did some prison time for some of his activities in the American Indian Movement, aka AIM. And out of that, he decided that he was going to talk about his experience and write poems, and that transformed him into a bard and a poet, where his poetry was put together and merged with music. And he's got about 12 albums out, and he's amazing. His poetry, spoken word stuff is incredible. And right now, his big passion is hemp. And I've long believed that hemp is really the key for the recovery of the American economy, the democratization of resources and abundance here in this country. And hemp is illegal. It's one of the only places on the planet where it's illegal. And I think it's an absolute utter travesty. So we're going to have John on the show. We're going to be talking about hemp and his project, where he's hopefully going to be moving this engine of hemp forward, and we can begin to tap into that and wrap our heads around the use hemp to change and transform our experience here in this country. I'll also have Debbie Goldsberry on, and we're going to be talking about medicinal marijuana. So we're going to be really kind of in the sativa, the cannabis family, and we're going to be talking about the industrial uses of hemp and also the medicinal uses of hemp. And then in the final part of the show on Friday, my good friend Willow is coming back, and we're going to be talking about alfalfa and how alfalfa is under attack. And the reason why it's important to talk about this is that alfalfa is the core grain or the core grass that feeds just about everything in Monsanto has alfalfa in its crosshairs. And they want to genetically modify all the alfalfa on the planet. And if they do that, then we're talking about sort of a key element in the chain of life. You know, if cows are eating alfalfa, if pigs are eating alfalfa, if chicken, alfalfa seed, or wherever it's going, those animals or plants that are in proximity to the alfalfa will be jeopardized. So this is a very important discussion that we're going to have, and Willow's going to bring some pertinent information about this, and she's going to tie it into Series Direct, bringing the astrological angle, and she'll be in the last part of the show. So you don't want to miss Friday's show. John Trudell, Debbie Goldsberry, who Debbie, by the way, has won Woman of the Year twice by Normal, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, for her tireless work and advocacy in medicinal marijuana. So you don't want to miss Debbie either. If you are passionate about medicinal marijuana, Debbie's going to give you the latest update on where we are with the current administration and what they're doing, and some of the challenges that states like Washington and Colorado are going to face as a result of their legalization of marijuana. And then, of course, Willow at the back end of the show. So you don't want to miss Friday's show. Okay, I think I have time for one call. Somebody's been waiting patiently here. Let's find out who they are and what they want to talk about. Hello?
Hi. Excuse me, but I lost my voice.
Well, let's find it. Where is it?
Wow, it's right here. Okay, here I am.
Okay, great.
It's Camille, actually.
Hey, Camille, what's going on?
Okay, well, thinking about that Mars and Virgo again. My Mars and Virgo.
Yeah, Mars and Virgo, which I think is a highly underrated Mars, by the way. Highly underrated.
Really?
I do, yeah, I do. Now, it will bring out some of the more, mercurial and tense and peripatetic kind of qualities of Virgo,
right?
Because we're taking Mercury and we're putting it together with Mars, and so we're really supercharging Mercury. But in the right context, that Mars and Virgo can get things done. I mean, it can accomplish a lot of work. It can multitask. It's great for multitasking, Mars and Virgo.
I definitely do that.
And the other thing with Mars and Virgo, if somebody was interested in the health fields, like nutrition, food, or even like personal training, like if you wanted to be a personal trainer and get into reshaping your body, reshaping other people's bodies, Mars and Virgo is tremendous for that. And the other thing too is that a lot of times when we look at sex and sexual energy and the expression of sexual energy, we look at Mars, and because the esoteric ruler of Mars is Pluto. So when we look at Mars and Virgo, we have Mars in an Earth sign, and Mars and Virgo is the super secret, sexy combination of the zodiac. People that have Mars and Virgo are they can be very passionate lovers. And that is one of the ways that people that have Mars and Virgo can actually unwind and discharge some of that nervous Virgo tension. Now, I'm not saying go out and have sex and just relax, but in the right circumstances with the right person, it allows them to channel that energy and diffuse it and work it off. And it can actually be very healing for the person who has Mars and Virgo, and even the person that is with the person that has Mars and Virgo. So now we're bringing in another aspect, which is sexual healing and Tantra. And so I think Mars and Virgo is a very interesting aspect for Mars, and underrated, if you ask me.
And that's what's so interesting about it. I have Mars and Virgo, and so does Belle. One of us is like 4 degrees, one is 12 degrees. I don't remember which. But needless to say, I am considering everything that you said, nutrition, health, food, something like that, something concerning the body, health in the body.
Right. Yeah. Plus you're a Cancer. So that's going to be a natural fit. I mean, Cancers want to nurture. They want to take care of.
Right.
And then the Virgo is the diagnostic. The Virgo is, here's how you do it. Here's how you get it done. I think that's a good fit for you.
Yeah, and it took me only almost 37 years to figure that out.
Well, one of the things, I'll tell you, when you have a kid or when a child comes into your life, what I've noticed is that it accelerates the actualization process for the individual.
Okay.
So what you're experiencing now is, because you're a mom and because you have another life form, it is consciously you're thinking, what can I do? How can I provide? All those things.
Yes.
But also as a result of that, you begin to tap into sort of the personal assessment or the personal sort of checklist. Like, okay, well, who am I? What can I do? What am I good at? What interests me? And now you have the need and the immediacy, which is how do I provide, which is what am I good at? And then from an astrological perspective, you put those together. And you say, oh, okay, I have an interest in this. I'm good at this. I can handle that. Maybe this is the path that I should go down. And it's going to be interesting to see how the alternative professional health world coexists with Obamacare. I'm curious to see how this is going to go down. And I have a sense that the alternative health care is going to go off the charts with Obamacare. I think it's going to be very popular, I think people are going to look at Obamacare. There's going to be issues, big issues with Obamacare, and I think people are going to look outside of Obamacare for real care. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. As a result of that, I also see that agencies like the FDA, the AMA, I think they can potentially come down on the alternative side of things, but there's so much money invested in alternative healthcare at this point that it would be really a titanic battle between the forces of orthodoxy and the forces of alternative health and solutions. So my sense is that there's going to be a niche, there's going to be a pocket for alternative healthcare and Obamacare that's going to be very popular. So if you are thinking about that, I would say definitely look into that because, Mars and Virgo, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and actually, years ago, like 2006, I actually trained as a life coach, and I never got my certification because that's not really a regulated industry. But instead, I became a certified hypnotherapist and specializing in past life regression and smoking cessation.
Right.
So I never got a chance to fully utilize everything because right then, as I was just finishing up, the man I was seeing died, committed suicide. And that was, And then next thing I knew, I found myself moving from L.A. to Alameda, so I was completely off track. Then I thought I would do something like fashion, writing, something, and that never, ever panned out. So now I'm seeing myself getting back into everything that I've already trained for, everything I'm already specialized in, and then what can I add to it, I guess?
Right. Yeah, well, that makes sense. And also, you have your daughter, and she's had some weight issues, and that's caused you to go into, well, what can I do? How can I, plump her up a bit? Where's the nutrition? So she's engaged your Mars there as well.
That's good. So I'm on the right track then.
Yeah, I think you are.
Oh, good. As scary as it is. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to hear your voice, Camille.
You too.
Yeah. So anything else?
No, I think that's it. Actually, I missed the last guest, but is anything happening with Jupiter at the moment?
Well, Jupiter. Interesting to bring that up. Jupiter went direct, and it went direct this last week, and in fact, it was last Monday. And what's interesting is that Jupiter's at 6 degrees, and that 6-degree point was the final station of the Venus transit last year. As Venus went backwards across the sun. And so now what we'd look at was we would look at where we were on the final degree of the Venus transit with Jupiter going direct in Gemini, and what was up for us in our lives at that time, and where are we now in relation to that stuff. So it'll take a little bit of math, it'll take a little bit of time travel, but now I think with Jupiter we finally get to move forward from that place with the Venus transit. Jupiter was retrograde for almost 4 months. It was a long time, and now I think communication, clarity, networking, and putting things together. Like for instance, you putting together your various skill sets. That's a very Jupiter Gemini direct moment in time. So take advantage of it.
All righty. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Camille. You take good care now.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So just in case she wants to listen, we'll put her on hold. And we've got about 5 minutes left. It looks like our good friend Lenise is calling in. Let's see what she's up to. And then we'll say goodbye, and we'll see everybody on Friday. Here we go. Hello?
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Lenise.
How are you?
Pretty good. It must be Cancer hour.
Well, I thought about you, and I thought, the show is on. Let me check in. And I knew it'd almost be over, but I just wanted to catch whatever I could catch.
Well, you should go back and listen to the first part of the show. We had Shelly Wu on. She was absolutely tremendous. I really, she's a Chinese astrologer, and she was, incredibly generous, and she shared her insight about Chinese astrology and the year of the snake. So that's what happened in the first hour.
Okay, well, that'll be something good for me to do this evening when I get off work. Yeah.
So what Chinese year were you born in?
I think it's the rabbit. Yeah, the rabbit.
Oh, she had very good things to say about rabbit people for this year.
Well, I hope so.
No, really, we had 2 rabbit people call in. And,
that'll be interesting.
And she said this is a bounce back year for the rabbit. Extremely good year.
Good. I need some good stuff coming up.
So you can just bunny hop right into your destiny in 2013.
You know what? I really hope so, because right now I cannot see. It's like the canvas is empty, and this is something so new, and I'm just standing at the edge saying, what? What to do?
Well, all you got to do is put one rabbit paw in front of the other, and I think you'll get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling too.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, listen, Lenise, call back next week and get in on the early part of the show, and have a great week. Okay.
Okay, I will. Thank you, Robert.
All right. Take good care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Our friend Lenise from Memphis, Tennessee. You know what was really interesting? It's like the last half hour of the show, my cat climbed up on my desk and was sitting right next to the computer. Fascinating stuff. She wanted to be part of the show. Okay, so that's it. We have reached the end of a dynamic 2 hours of prediction, prognostication, and promotion of your own personal health and well-being. And I want to thank Shelly Wu for being a part of that. Friday, once again, if you missed it, John Trudell, Debbie Goldsberry, and also Willow. We're talking about hemp, cannabis, alfalfa, and activism, and how we can hopefully retain our connection, our planetary right and connection to these elements, which are so essential to our well-being here on Earth. So until Friday, you know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. You've been listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. Have a great 48 hours. I'll see you back on Friday.
In the name I am that I am, Sanat Kumara, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I demand the action of the sacred fire in this hour. Descend on mighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sanat Kumara and the 7 holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present. Come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God slain. I demand the full power, beloved mighty, exceed with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord mighty, Gautama and Sanat Kumara. Come, Lord, now in the victory of the God slain. Send the light of 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty, stand, mighty, stand, mighty, stand. Around this fortune now. I call upon the great Sindel, I call upon